Hey everybody, welcome back. Thanks for joining me again. I've been a little under the weather, lots of tea, lots of Netflix, and taking it easy. Everything's cool. I had a test, it's negative. Oh, just need a couple more days rest and I will be back to my old self, but I wanted to pop in and talk about something that came up in conversations last week, maybe 2 weeks ago with someone that I found very interesting and I wanted to share as usual. So I was talking with someone, she's in the process of a divorce, just starting the process. And so she's right at that stage, trying to figure things out and asking herself a lot of questions, just sort of going over everything. If you've been there, you know exactly what I'm talking about. And she said, how did this happen to me? I have wonderful, loving parents. They had a wonderful, loving relationship. How did this happen to me? And that really blew my mind because I think that was the first time anybody's ever asked me that and posed the question that way, that they had wonderful, loving parents that had a wonderful, loving relationship. And I was like, wow, how did that happen? A majority of the time, someone will say, I had a narcissistic mother, I had a narcissistic father. What they saw and what they have later on subjected themselves to in an emotionally abusive relationship seemed the norm, is what I'm getting at. Like myself, it seemed the norm because I have a narcissistic mother. When she said it, when she asked me that and she posed the question that way, it really threw me for a second. I was like, wow, how did that happen? And then I said, well, how old were you when you married him? And she said, I was 19. I said, there you go. I was 19. I think age has a lot to do with it. Many of the people that I've spoken to who have been in very lengthy marriages and were in literally the exact same boat that I was in. Decades, didn't know what was happening, didn't realize they were being abused. The story always kind of starts the same. I was really young when I got married. And, with age comes wisdom. So when you're young, I think other things sort of dictate your decisions, your emotions and your feelings, and a lack of not knowing the world and knowing people and having the same type of judgment that you would have when you're older. In my conversation with her, I was like, well, that answers your question right there. I was really young when I got married. I married this bozo, my ex-hole, thinking, that this was a good thing, that he was a good guy. And I was totally wrong about him. I couldn't have been more wrong about him, but I was young. And once I made that commitment, that was it for me. So she was like, yeah, I guess that's probably why. She said, but what really blew my mind, and this is what prompted me to do this video, was her saying, I thought he was like my dad. I thought I saw similarities between him and my dad. And I told her, I said, I experienced the same thing to a degree. And I think, again, that's normal. We see what we want to see. We see what they want us to see. We don't really see things for what they really are. We see things the way we would like for them to be. So we dig really deep for these similarities. And so when I was talking to her, I said, don't worry, I did the same thing. I said, and I said, I couldn't have been more wrong. And she was like, oh yeah, he's nothing like my father. And I said, well, back in the day, if you squint real hard, maybe you can find the similarities there. And so her and I both kind of laughed about that. And, she understood me. I understood her. When I thought about that conversation later, I thought, oh my gosh, like the most extreme example of that is my psychotic sister. So if you guys read the book, you know exactly what I'm talking about. You know who I'm talking about. I will never forget when we were on the phone and now mind you, her second husband, couldn't stand the guy. I thought he was a tool right out of the gate. I'll never forget her comparing him to our dad, saying that he was like our dad. I nearly choked. If you've read the book, you've watched my videos, you know how I feel about my father. You know what a wonderful man and generous and loving. And, her second husband was a slob. He was a loudmouth. He was rude. He was crude. He was lazy. He was useless. He couldn't turn a screwdriver. He was crooked. Ultimately ended up in jail. He's a felon. And I'm like, oh yeah, he's definitely like dad. My dad, a man of integrity, discipline, respect, respected not only by our family, in the community, You know, just, I mean, a wonderful man all the way around. I'm like, what? Okay, so she needed like trifocals. She was beyond squinting when she said there were similarities. I mean, are you kidding me? They couldn't have been more opposite. And so she's a very extreme case of that, I think. And he, I don't even know if he's a narcissist. I think he might be leaning more towards the personality of like a sociopath. But anyway, I laughed about that because I was like, what? How, where is the similarity there? What, because they're both male? Is that what makes them alike? I mean, come on. It's unfortunate that they pull the wool over our eyes and make us see things that just aren't there. That's what this conversation was about between me and this woman who's going through her divorce and this man that she was with and who has basically turned out not to be anything like what she originally thought he would be, and, you know, what she thought their life and marriage would be like. And anybody watching knows that, and you know what I'm talking about. So I wanted to share that because she really threw me for a loop when she asked me that. It's not, I don't hear from people too often who say, I was raised by wonderful, loving parents in a wonderful, loving home, and I'm in an abusive relationship, or I'm in an abusive marriage. That's not to say it doesn't happen. That was the first for me. To me, it just goes to show that no one is exempt, that anyone can fall victim to a narcissist. Anybody can become their prey under the right circumstances. If that person, once they lay eyes on you and decide that there's something there to be gained, that's it. I just felt that there was a really important message there in the fact that not everybody who falls victim to a narcissist was raised by one. It can happen to anybody. I wanted to share that. A little more rest, a little more hot tea, and I will be back up and running with some more videos and some more content. Ciao for now, everybody. Thanks for watching.